Okay, hi, I'm back. Did you miss me? I know I just did a video yesterday, but I was kind of excited, so I'm back with another short one. I actually went to battenkillstitchery today. My granddaughter drove, I'm teaching her to drive, so she drove both of us over. And the reason I went is because I, was going to work on my Dragons of Sumatra, and part of the window frame is stitched in Moonlit Path, and I have already used one skein of my Moonlit Path, and I'd started my second skein, and I was afraid that I wouldn't have enough. And it's a gentle art color, and that is the color, and it's really beautiful in the pattern. So I went over and I thought, I can't just drive 25 minutes, even though 25 minutes to get to battenkillstitchery is closer than either Joann's, which is an hour away, or even Walmart, which is over 30 minutes away. So it was worth the trip. But I also decided that I had wanted to restart my Blackbird Designs Yellow Submarine. I liked the fabric I was using, but the DMC just, I don't know. I just decided I would like to do the gentle arts. So I took this pattern with me to buy floss. And just in case you want to see, I haven't done any more on this yet. But this is a color in cotton, 18 count Ada. I can't remember the name of it. But that is as far as I had gotten, was some of the periscopes on the Yellow Submarine. So I just decided while I was at that point, I was just going to go ahead and buy the Classic Colorworks. Now it is a good thing that when I went over to battenkillstitchery, that I took what was left of my thread with me, because the first Moonlit Path that she handed me was incredibly dark, and I asked her if she had any others that were a lighter color, and thank goodness she had this, because the first one that she gave me was almost as dark as this garden gate, and that would not have worked. I guess I could have made it look like that last part of the window frame was in shadow, and I could have darkened up the beads, and it might have actually been a pretty interesting effect. I don't know. Sometimes the best artistic things happen when you are making do or completely by accident. And excuse the growling, that's Wally playing with Kitten. He's such a goof. Okay, so while I was there, I did get all of the color in cotton to do my Yellow Submarine. And excuse me, I'm just picking them up. Some of them are the Simply Shaker too. Simply Shaker colors. And I'm not going to show these all to you individually, but these are all colors for the Yellow Submarine. And they're really gorgeous colors. And it's a little bit darker here today because it's later in the day. And that's the fabric that I'm doing it on. So, yeah, kind of pretty. I'm sorry. Lots of ums. The main reason that I am doing a video is because I walked in and there were a couple of Mirabillas, I don't know, mirrors on the counter. And I saw this one, the Queen of Freedom. So of course I picked that up. But she also had Lady of the Flag. So I picked that up too. And I asked her if she had any more of these. And she doesn't right now, but she thinks that she can still order more. She doesn't think she's at her 10 pattern limit. So, that being said, I will show you her card. It's Battenkillstitchery. It's Deb Cullinan. And it has her email on it, the address, her website, and her phone number. So I will hold this up, and you can pause it if you want to write the information down. I will put it in the comment section below, but you can check with Deb and see if she is able to order any more patterns. She says there's no guarantees. Witchell isn't giving any guarantees. But she thinks that she might still be able to. And she also has tons of hand-painted needlepoint designs, every type of thread you can imagine. I'm going to start going over there more. She also carries linens and Aidas, but she does not have an online store. So, if there's anything in particular that you're looking for that you can't find, and you would like me to maybe look to see if she had it the next time I'm there, you can ask, but I'm not making any guarantees either. I can try, and I'm more than willing to try. I know that if I get to the Lady of the Flag or the Queen of Freedom, that I do want to get some of the fabric that has the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence written on it. Of course, right now I can't even think who it is that prints that fabric. So if you know that, could you leave that in the comment section for me? I know I just saw it on a Facebook group. If it was Stitch Mania or one of the others, I'm not sure. But I will have to check that out. And of course, when I go, I always get myself an extra pack of John James size 26 petites, because that's my favorite needle. And I also got the bead pack for Lady of the Flag, because even though I have tons of beads, I want to make sure that she looks beautiful. So I got the Mill Hill beads, and it wasn't too bad. So, and these are limited editions, I guess, anyway, because of the pattern, so might as well have the beads to go with her. And let's see, what else was I going to tell you? Oh, I told you my granddaughter drove over as part of her practice of driving, and she picked up another cross-stitch kit off by herself, and she's working as a cashier in a grocery store now, and so she has her own money, and she actually bought a cross-stitch kit. I'm not sure if it's a Jan line, but it's for the love of dogs. So there's a bunch of dogs in the picture. And there's Wally barking at the cat. I'm sorry. And I bought her a little pair of embroidery scissors. I let her pick out the colors. So she got a really pretty pair of light blue handled with some white, I think, geometric lines in it. So she's pretty happy, and she's downstairs working on that right now. We enlarged her pattern, made her working copy, showed her the loop method to start, and she's got her stuff going. So I'm pretty happy. This is her second attempt, but I'm hoping she sticks with it. I think she'll enjoy it. So anyway, I am happy to have you join me. And like I said, anything you might be looking for that I might be able to help you find, no guarantees. And I just went over there, so I'm not sure when I would go again. Didn't get out of there cheap. I think I'm up to about the year for my maybe birthday 10,000 by the time I could stitch everything I own. And that isn't even talking about the colored pencils and paints and clay and cloth and fabric and all that good stuff. But hey, Life is short. We might as well enjoy it the best we can. So thank you for joining me, and God bless. Take care. Prayers for good health, and I'll see you again. Bye. Okay. Lynn, you had asked to see a little bit of my garden, and a lot of these are my house plants that I put out in the summer. This is my back deck. I have those railing pots aren't doing too well. The trailing vines are doing pretty good, but oh well. And there's some irises that I was just weeding out, so excuse the piles of weeds I still have to pick up. But I thought I would show you that my hostas are coming into bloom, and they're looking pretty beautiful. So far, deer haven't come down to eat them yet, and that's an old small greenhouse. And over here is my rock garden. It's a rhododendron and a barberry, and I have some hens and chicks that are in bloom here. I don't know if that's, the light's kind of faded, so it's all in shade. Oh, and let me show you this. I had shown this on Instagram, and I'd asked if anybody knew what this was, and I don't even think I can get it wide enough. This plant right there looks like a lamb's ear when it's first growing, but instead of a circular low growth pattern, it actually has a rosette, and it grows to 6 feet tall. And if I was standing next to that plant, I don't know, let me see if I can get in front of this camera. I don't know, and that little tree right there is an apple tree I just planted. But let me see, hope I don't make anybody sick. And I can't see what's going on, so let me turn that around, and let's see. I don't even think I can get this far enough away from me. I'm only 5 feet tall, or 5'1", and that's the top of the plant up there. The bees love those flowers. Most of them look like they've gone by now, but this is a mullein plant, and it has some medicinal uses. It's actually a weed. It just kind of grew. Oh, there's Spike. Spike. That's our black cat, Spike. He's a good boy. He's guarding. Okay. So anyway, seen my rock garden. And we'll walk back around here, because then I will show you the vegetable garden that I planted in my old dog kennel. Let's see, and that's all the woods. And then I have a big hosta next to my fire pit, which has some pretty blossoms on it. And that's some bee balm that I just planted this year. And then I have a blue hydrangea, which the color probably isn't going to show as beautiful as this is, but this is like one of the most beautiful blue hydrangeas. Oh, and then the black caps are starting to go by that are up on the slate wall. And there I planted a little lavender. But here you can see some of the berries that grow up there on the hill. And then there's a bunch of irises that have, of course, gone by. And this little plant generally has some really pretty, I don't know, pinkish red blooms on the top, but it looks like it's gone by too. And then that's a pink lilac tree that blooms on and off all year long. And then over here are my white hydrangeas and just a big, I'm trying to think what that was called, but I'm afraid the grass is very long. But you can see I have a lot of ferns And there's lily of the valley that grow in there too. And my peonies and a small black walnut are out there. And you can't see the birch tree I planted from here, so I may add that in. But this is the dog kennel. And I've got tomatoes and peppers and rosemary and some basil. And let's see if I can get the gate open without too much fuss. And we'll go in and take a look. Okay, so my tomatoes are doing pretty well. I just got this planted, I don't know, maybe a month ago. So that's the basil. And that's an eggplant. And I do have a nice tomato there and a bunch of tomatoes there. So it's doing pretty good. And that's a spicy oregano. And I have mostly hot peppers. I have one bell pepper, one red bell. And then these are all hot peppers of different varieties. I have a ghost pepper, a couple of ghost peppers, and a habanero. And these peppers right here are called cow horns. And they'll turn red. So that's my vegetable garden. And this is just another view of the ferns and I'm trying to think what kind of a bush that is. I used to know the name of all these things. It's been so long. But that's growing right around my deck. And I absolutely love it. And I even have not a hydrangea, an azalea bush on the end that still grows and blooms in the spring. Okay, so now we're coming around by my garage, and I have this bush here that has all these red berries on it, and I no longer know what that's called, and a hosta. And then we come around, and those are my lilac bushes, and those have white lilacs. And under that is another slate wall and a bunch of hostas. And in the summer they also get some hyacinths that grow up in there. Yeah. And there you can see the birch trees that I've had for years on this side of the house. They used to be shadowed by a weeping willow that was huge. And since that weeping willow had to come down, that birch tree has just gotten to be enormous. And you can see the peak of my house, and that tree just goes on. And underneath the tree is a bunch of mint. And in the spring there's daffodils and tulips. And then over here, this is a black walnut tree that my husband planted. And it's huge. And from that tree, tons of black walnut trees have sprung up all over my property. It's amazing. And there in the distance, between the pine trees that line the front of the yard, let me zoom in, those three little bushes there are the little box shrubs that I planted yesterday. I imagine in a few years maybe they'll fill the space, I hope. You never know. Now here's a garden in front of my house, and it has hibiscus and more hydrangea and a bunch of mint and two hollies that are not doing well, that I have to get out of there or cut back and see why they're not doing well. And there along the side you can see my coral bells, some mint, and a rose. That little patch there needs more attention, that's for sure. And this all needs attention. I need to get in here and weed this out drastically. But there is a rose there. And then I have lavender. You can see all the grasshoppers in there. And oregano and sage. Then I have these two little red bushes that I hope make it through the heat and grow up to be big tall bushes in the front of my house. And then over there, in its own little patch of dirt, is my birch tree. And this was the surprise sapling that just grew up unexpectedly in a big pot of dirt that I had just left sitting on the backside of my house. So I figured he deserved to come out and be planted. And I think he'll look really nice right there with the hydrangeas and the shrubs and the jasmine. Is that jasmine? I think that's, no, wisteria. Ah, that's wisteria. And it's just coming back into bloom. And you can see that there's some irises down along the front. But he's doing pretty good. And then over here, last but not least, is my poor peony patch that also has some irises in it. And an unexpected black walnut tree that I'm also going to let live because it's growing up nice and straight in the middle of my peonies. And I think that's enough garden for now. This whole video is turning into a garden video. I can show you a really huge maple tree there, and there's a bunch of blackberry bushes there. So, yeah. It's not bad to live in the country. There's all kinds of things out here. I forgot to show you my marble hitching post. This is from the days when this building, my house, you can see up there in the corner where I haven't closed the curtain, and that's where I sit in my craft room. This is from the days back in the 1770s when my house was a stagecoach stop on the Great Northern Turnpike, and they would pull up and hitch their horses to the wrought iron rings in front of the house. And as you can see, it's made of marble. Lots of traffic. It's that time of day where everybody's going home. And then I have a cast iron kettle that's been at the end of my driveway for as long as I've lived here, probably much longer than that. And I just have it planted with some silver mound and some little flowers for this summer. And as I pan around, I can show you that is what is across the street from my home. That first patch of land right here is mine. That's called the Triangle, and that's usually where my husband planted a garden. And it goes down to those trees. And looking across that way, if you go far enough, that's Vermont. And the road in between is State Route 22. It goes from New York City in the south to Canada in the north. Enjoyed this little bit about the area I live, and until the next time, take care, be well.